Hi, in this video, I'll talk about the differences between PHP5 and PHP7. The first difference between them is that PHP7 is nearly 2 times faster than PHP5. As you can see in the pictures, in each platform, PHP7 is faster. Also, PHP7 has low memory usage. It means that if you have done 50 read and 50 write operations, PHP7's only use 60 megabytes of data, but PHP5 uses nearly 80 megabytes of data. So PHP7 has low memory usage. The second difference between them is security. Since PHP5 is the earliest version, it has no support. So it means that if there is any bug in PHP5 versions, it won't be fixed. So if there is no support, there are vulnerable parts of that software. Also, PHP5 uses old SSL certificates. PHP7 uses OpenSSL, but PHP5 is using MyCrypt. The third difference between them is PHP5 does not support 64-bit integer, while PHP7 supports native 46-bit integers as well as large files. So in 64-bit systems, PHP5 is not efficient. Fourth difference between them is error handling. In PHP5, there's high difficulty to manage fatal errors, but in PHP7, some major errors are replaced by exceptions, which can be managed effortlessly. In PHP7, the nav engine exception objects has been introduced. So it means that in PHP5, you can have more errors, but in PHP7, they are replaced, some major errors replaced by exceptions. So it does not stop the code. The errors will just show as exceptions. And the fifth difference between PHP5 and 7 is that in PHP7, you are now able to declare parameter and return type for a function. As you can see in code below, the function has return type. And also it has parameters. In PHP5, you are not able to make this, but in PHP7, you are able to do that. The sixth difference between them is the spaceship operator. It has come with the PHP7. This operation has come with the PHP7. It works like this. The spaceship operator is used to compare two expressions. It returns -1, 0, or 1. Let me explain it. As you can see here, there is a PHP5 code. This code working like this. It takes two parameters and it compares them. If they are same, returns 0. If first parameter is greater than second, returns 1, else returns -1. But in PHP7, you can make it like this. If you use spaceship operator, it does the same operation as here, just by using that operation. It returns 0, 1, or -1, according to this one. As you can see here, there is one more example at the right. And with the spaceship operator, if 1 is spaceship 1, it returns 0. As you can see, left is lower than right, so it returns -1. left is greater than right, so it returns 1. The null collapse operator. The null collection operator has been added as syntactic sugar for common case of needing to use ternary in conjunction with isset. It returns its first operand if it exists, and exists is not null, otherwise returns its second operand. As you can see here, at the top side, there's a PHP5 code. And if isset getID works, it goes that the code block below works, else the code block below works. But in PHP7, you don't have to define these parts. You can just use null collapse operator to done this operation. The 8th difference is anonymous class. If you don't need to create any class, if you just use once that class, you don't have to define it with PHP7. In older version, you have to define it as PHP5. The idea is that support for anonymous classes has been added via new class. This can be used in place of full class definition for throwaway objects. What does throwaway object means? If you won't use more than one time, let's say more than one time, or if you won't use frequently, you don't have to define any class. In PHP5, we are defining math class in this code, and we are defining a square method for that class. And after that, we are creating an object and calling that method. But in PHP7, you don't have to define that class. Just like this, with using new class operator, you can just define your function for that class, but you don't have to give a name for that class. It is just throwaway class. And the 9th difference between them is Unicode code point escape syntax. This takes a Unicode code point hexadecimal form and outputs that code point in UTF-8 to double-quoted string or a here dog. Any valid code point is accepted with leading zeros being optional. Let me explain it. In PHP5, if you wrote like this Unicode symbol with 1000, the output will come like this. But in PHP7, if you write like this, the output will come like this. Just I mentioned up the zeros being optional, so you can add as much zero as you want. It won't change the output. And 10th difference is group use declarations. As you can see here, let me explain. Classes, functions, and customs being imported from the same namespace can now be grouped together in single use statement. So as you can see here, we are defining classes, functions, and some constants one by one. But in PHP7, you can define them as a groups like this with use parameter. You don't have to define one by one. And that's it between HTML5 and HTML7 differences. Thank you for listening.